Thanks for joining us on the news on NT International, reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. Ominu Dan is my name. 7 people are reported to have died after AYA bridge in Asokoro, Abuja, when a tanker loaded with petrol fell over and burst into flames while attempting to negotiate a bend. Hamish Rugo has a situation report.
It is accident at exactly 3 o'clock this evening in Asokoro in Abuja. A tanker loaded with 33,000 liters of fuel, petroleum, coming from Calabar, going to Mina in Niger State, had an accident here, negotiating a bend at AYA bridge close to Asokoro. There were 11 people inside. 2 were rescued. 7 are still there. All the males were rescued and in hospital. All the women could not be rescued. They are still in this vehicle. Many people here believe the women were the driver's immediate family members. He picked them up from Mararaba in Abuja to Mina. They will never make the journey alive. They are all feared dead.
The problem is that, when you have this kind of vehicle and you pack 11 people, even with the driver, it will be very difficult, for driver to even, maneuver, to even handle the steering with 11 people in the same cabin. So it's very...
We were chased away from the scene by rain, but rescue operations to put the fire up were still going on. People coming to Abuja from Mararaba Yanya axis will have to find alternative route for now, not because the tanker blocked the road, but because of the fear that the tanker can still explode with what remains of its cargo. It is a genuine fear and a genuine concern.
Sad development there. Moving on, the Senate President Abubakar Bukola Saraki says the statistics that indicate that over 10 million children in the country were out of school is not only alarming, but a ticking time bomb. He also expressed the readiness of the National Assembly to partner with stakeholders like the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, to drastically reduce the number. The Senate President was speaking while addressing a UNICEF delegation led by its country representative, Mohammed Malik Fall, during a courtesy visit to him in Abuja. In a statement by the Senate President's Chief Press Secretary, Sani Onogu, said Bukola Saraki emphasized that the legislature is committed to do all it can to address the issue of out-of-school children through funding and material resources. The Senate President endorsed the school enrollment campaign of UNICEF in the country and thanked its country representative for years of exemplary work in education and other areas. Earlier, Mr. Fall encouraged the Senate President to endorse UNICEF Nigeria's 2017 school enrollment program. This year's theme is Education Matters. Every Nigerian child deserves to be in school. He stated that UNICEF's school enrollment campaign seeks to partner with the education stakeholders at the state levels to ensure that the impact reaches grassroots communities. Federal and state governments are considering the possibility of funding indigenous researchers on the production of chemical for pest control in the country. This followed concerns over armyworms and quail birds that are destroying maize and rice plantations in some parts of the country. Musa Babali reports that this is also part of efforts to find a lasting solution to the challenges facing food production in Nigeria.
Apart from armyworms that have been ravaging maize farms in the country, quail birds are also out to destroy rice plantations in Kano, Jigawa and Kebbi states. A visit to this rice farm located in Hadeja in Jigawa state shows that the migrating quail birds have begun to wreak havoc on the plantation. Investigations show that farmers are using local methods to scare the birds, but with little effect. This is evident in the size of the farm, covering over 70 hectares. The farmers appealed for air spray before the birds will wreak more havoc on their farms. The Jigawa State Governor Abubakar Badaru told NTA News that the government has procured chemicals to control the birds.
We are working with the federal government on best way to create companies that will produce insecticides, so that will also be controlled, produced locally, and the price will reduce. And the same thing with equipment mechanization, to see how best we can partner with the producers of machines for agricultural use, to see how best we can produce the machines locally.
The federal government and Jigawa State are jointly sponsoring rice production in Hadeja. While the federal government provides land and irrigation facilities, the state government is providing inputs and mechanization.
And the main aim is to improve income generation to farmers and improve food security to the state and nation at large.
Rice production in Jigawa State rose to over 2 million tons with an average of 5 tons per hectare against the less than 3 tons recorded in the last 2 years. From Dutse in Jigawa State, Musa Baba Aliyu, NTA News.
Still on the agricultural value chain, at a time of serious economic travails, when Nigerians are seeking ways to augment their livelihood, some women are producing a commodity and giving out freely. Saliu Abdullahi met these unique women in Arikpa, Aramanda community in Nasarawa State. He tells us the story of what they produce and how they share with friends and family.
A cool rustic breeze welcomes you to Arikpa Aramanda village in Agidi development area of Nasarawa State. The village is as rural as they come. Nature has been kind to the people, endowing them with arid land that cuts out their preoccupation as farmers. But beyond the usual rural attributes, Arikpa has a story itching to be told. It is a story of landscape adorned with palm trees, billowing in the wind. These are the raw materials for processing palm oil, an activity carried out by the women folk. Mother of 8, Jumai Sabo supervises the production of palm oil at her homestead. What was once kernels are now being cooked, first to obtain a thick paste and later edible palm oil. The methods are crude, but the women endure the heat with a smile. They produce about 6 to 10 25-liter jerrycans weekly, which sell around 10,000 naira each. Jumai Sabo said she does that collectively with the support from her family. It's not for commercial purpose, just for house use.
We have enough palm kernel to produce more. We will be very happy if government can support us to boost this business.
In a community where basic amenities are absent and getting by is a task, it comes as a surprise that the women do not latch on to this venture to make some money. They say they are content with just producing the palm oil and sharing with family and friends. We leave Arikpa with mixed feelings. One of surprise that abundant natural resources are not being fully utilized, and the other of admiration for a people content with their lot in life and are willing to share even when they have so little. From Arikpa Aramanda community in Nasarawa State, Salihu Abdullahi, NTA News.
A special interfaith prayer has been held in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital, for the quick recovery and return of President Muhammadu Buhari. Solomon Ayedehin reports that the prayer was held at the Government House, Lokoja.
The prayer session was organized by Kogi State government to again seek divine intervention for the quick recovery and return of President Muhammadu Buhari. Chairman, Kogi State Chapter of Christian Association of Nigeria, Bishop John Ibenu, and the Chief Imam of Government House, Lokoja, Alhaji Isha Bashir Ohu, led in the prayers respectively.
And raise him up that he might return unto his work according to your perfect will, in Jesus' name.
They described President Muhammadu Buhari as God sent to Nigeria, hence the special prayers for his speedy recovery to enable him accomplish the good job he has started. The congregation also prayed for the peace and unity of the nation, as well as the development of Kogi State under Governor Yahaya Bello.
By the special grace of God, the Mr. President will soon return to Nigeria, hail and hearty, because prayer is very powerful and prayer is getting across to him.
In Lokoja, Solomon Ayedehin, NTA News.
Peaceful coexistence has been identified as a panacea for national development. This was the thrust of the celebration of this year's Feast of the Holy Trinity. Basi Itaikwan reports on the significance of the feast in relation to unity and national development.
The Feast of the Holy Trinity was established in the 14th century to celebrate the essence of one God in three persons, bounded in love.
When Christ came, he looked at the commandment given to Moses by God. He reviewed it and anchored the new commandment on love and said, forgive your neighbor for whatever offense.
Today, as we celebrate, we enjoin all of us to join hands in nation building.
Apart from peaceful coexistence, love and unity are other indices which the feast signifies.
And we want Christians to embrace unity. Unity in the homes, and unity amongst all religions, and unity in our country.
And for Nigeria, it calls for us to unite as a people, because when you are united, you have strength and purpose.
Worshippers advise Nigerians to see themselves as one, irrespective of tribe and religion.
Today we have so many kinds of challenges facing our country, Nigeria. But if we try to imbibe that love and that gifts God gave to us, and love one another and live like brothers and sisters, would reduce all the tensions, and our country will be able to forge, develop and grow to better and greater heights.
The Feast of Holy Trinity, which took place at Holy Trinity Catholic Church, Naitama, featured prayers for the nation and its leaders, family thanksgiving and cultural display. Basi Taikwan, NTA News.
This is the news on NT International, reaching you live from Abuja, Nigeria's capital. When we return, more stories inclusive of our special segments of the World in 6 Days and Sports Roundup. Stay with us.
Hear the call of change. Stand up, Nigeria. Change is here and it's going to stay. Change begins with you. Oh yeah, make we go. Go to so let the change begin from within. Look at you, Ogerola. Change begins with you and me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me. Change begins with me.
Welcome back. Nigeria is seeking assistance from the international community to finance a recurring deficit in its national budget as part of measures to enhance standard of living, create job opportunities and guarantee green environment. The request by the Nigerian delegation at the International Labour Conference in Geneva, Switzerland, is based on opportunities open to member nations of the International Labour Organization ILO. Emmanuel Ayimiro reports.
Having presented Nigeria's position to the Parliament by the Minister of Labour and Employment, Chris Ngige, and NLC President Ayuba Waba on the activities of government and labor to better the lives of Nigerians, the need for the country to enjoy the support of ILO to achieve sustainable peace and resilience was emphasized. Nigerian delegates say when people are engaged, peace is sustained, which makes the assistance of the international community very important.
Our budgetary provisions, but it's never enough. They should also come to the aid of Nigeria in tackling the insurgency. Niger Delta insurgency is there, that has made for low revenue receipt. And we also have the insurgency in the northeast, the Boko Haram insurgency, which have consumed our resources, a lot of our resources, which we will have deployed in this area of cleaner energy that we're talking about. So they can support us in terms of youth employment, in terms of skills support, and make for decent work.
A lot of youths are not employed, and therefore there is a provision for technical assistance by the ILO, which can be extended to the tripod in countries to be able to address this issue.
Various lobbying and negotiations are ongoing to derive maximum benefits for the country.
Algeria, yesterday we had discussion with them whereby we are looking at the possibility of at least getting about 1 million seedlings of dates so that we can have them planted in various parts of Nigeria. These are commercial trees. By the time we paid our young men to look after them, whatever is made out of that, they will definitely benefit. And it takes just 6 months for those trees to become productive.
Nigerian delegates are currently participating in various committees where compliance with different conventions and standards are being scrutinized. From Geneva in Switzerland, Emmanuel Ayemiro, NTA News.
Federal government to borrow 1.24 trillion via treasury bills in the third quarter of 2017. Details of these and more with Olayinka Ojo.
The federal government is planning to borrow 1.24 trillion naira in the third quarter via the issuance of treasury bills by the Central Bank of Nigeria. A CBN debt calendar for the third quarter release shows that it would sell 1.24 trillion naira worth of treasury bills from June 15 to August 31. The Apex Bank aims to auction 226.64 billion naira in 91-day bills, 311.32 billion naira in 182-day, and 698.64 billion naira in 364-day debt. The central bank sells treasury bills twice a month to help fund the government's budget deficit and support commercial banks in managing liquidity. Tanzania's government has signed a $154 million contract with a Chinese firm to expand the main port in the commercial capital, Dar es Salaam. Tanzania is seeking financing for infrastructure projects as part of its plan to transform the country into a regional transport and trade hub. The International Monetary Fund, IMF, may grant Zambia up to $1.3 billion in a 3-year credit facility to help plug a budget deficit of around 7%, says the lender's mission chief, Sidi Sikata. The decision will be made by IMF board in August, with the Zambia Finance Ministry, which pledged to halve the deficit to around 4% of gross national product by 2019. Olayinka Ojo, NTA News.
An action-packed world in 6 days as Nancy Gordy Anonihu takes it from here.
News breaking from left, right and center. It also began with 5 Arab countries rising up to sever relations with their sister nation, Qatar, over allegations of close ties with Iran and terrorist groups in the Gulf region. The number grew from 5 to 7 and 9, namely Egypt, UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, Libya, Yemen, Mauritania, Mauritius, and the Maldives. And as if that was not enough, UAE threatened a 15-year jail term on anyone showing sympathy with Qatar. Emir of Kuwait led a mediation team. But while the U.S. President Donald Trump gave the Arab nations a thumbs up, the U.S. Secretary of State sued for immediate breakdown of the blockade.
The Emir of Qatar has made progress in halting financial support and expelling terrorist elements from his country. But he must do more, and he must do it more quickly.
Qatar's Foreign Affairs Minister said the allegations were baseless, but even as the country could survive alone, it preferred dialogue. The latest shockwaves came from what analysts termed a political miscalculation by the British Prime Minister Theresa May, who called for parliamentary elections to garner more seats for her Conservative Party, but ended up losing 13 seats, falling below the needed 326 to form a majority government. The Prime Minister had hoped to boost her mandate for Brexit negotiations. Her main contender, the Labour Party, came second but got more seats, and its flag bearer, Jeremy Corbyn, had asked Prime Minister May to resign. Mrs. May is set to form a minority government with Northern Ireland's Democratic Unionist Party's 10 MPs to be able to pass legislation in Parliament. She says she goes nowhere and that what Britain needs now is stability.
And I will now form a government that can provide certainty and lead Britain forward.
Meanwhile, German Chancellor Angela Merkel has said that the EU is ready for the June 19 Brexit talks, adding that Britain should stick to the timetable. Still on the UK election, 7 Nigerians won the elections to become members of parliament in the UK. The US had been contending with alleged Russia's meddling with the last election that saw Trump to power. The then FBI chief James Comey, leading the investigations into Russia's link with Trump's campaign, fired recently by Trump, began to testify before the U.S. Senate Intelligence Committee. The former FBI boss said Trump told him he was doing a great job, but never asked him to stop the investigation. Rather, it was a probe of former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn Trump had asked him to drop. To all of this, Trump denied, saying he could speak on oath.
I hardly know the man. I'm not going to say, I want you to pledge allegiance.
Another surprise came when, after international condemnations of previous attacks, North Korea launched 4 anti-ship missiles into the sea east of Korean Peninsula. The 4th test in 4 weeks. Its neighbor, South Korea's military, believed this was intended to demonstrate the North's precise targeting ability. And to some cheering news now, a universal cancer test that can detect tumors 10 years before they can become dangerous is being developed. Researchers told the world's largest oncology conference in Chicago, USA, that they had successfully tested the blood of 120 patients with breast, lung, and prostate cancers. And now to the African continent. News came of South Africa's plunge into the recession, its second in a decade. Economy watchers say the downturn was due to weak manufacturing and trade in the final quarter of last year. Now, within these 6 days, ECOWAS admitted Morocco, another African country. This is in principle, as the body said the implications could be considered first. Morocco had rejoined the AU, which it left in 1984 to align with the Western world.
It's a local development. Morocco is Africa, it's part and parcel of Africa.
Do recall also the promoted Lesotho election last week. It did hold, and the incumbent Prime Minister Pakalitha Mosisili lost to his bitter rival Thomas Thabane. Thabane's ABC party won 48, while Mosisili's DC got 30 of the 80 contested seats in the 120-member-strong parliament. Thabane won without a majority, so he would form a coalition government. We take you back to Britain, where the country showed resilience by organizing tributes and concerts, both in London and Manchester, after the serial terror attacks, even before going to the polls. And that's what is called creating joy in despair and moving on with life. And that's it from here.
With the world in 6 days, we wrap up the news. Before we go, let's take a quick check on Monday's weather outlook within Nigeria and other world cities. That's a wrap on the news. It was nice sharing your time with you. Thanks for watching. Ominodan is my name.